G'day viewers, welcome to Totally Fucked Up Friday, where I bring you a selection of stories from around the world that prove beyond a doubt the world really is totally fucked up. And hey, let's start in Venezuela this week. Gotta start somewhere, might as well start there. Now you may be leaving wow, the most totally fucked up thing about Venezuela is Hugo Chavez, and you'd be forgiven for thinking it's gonna be about him being the whack job that he is. But no, an interesting thing you may not know about Venezuela is one of the ways Hugo Chavez stays in power is by making petrol so cheap. Because it's an oil-rich nation, they can afford to subsidise it. It's borderline free, like I think it's about 12 US cents a gallon for petrol. And motorists are revered. Everyone, it's a right to drive, to the extent that up until a couple of years ago, there wasn't even a law on the books to take away someone's licence. No matter what. The place is notorious for just fucked potholed roads, there's no drunk driving laws, and people drive at like 100 miles an hour, pissed out of their brains on these fucked up roads. But a law was introduced a couple of years ago that technically made it possible to take away someone's licence. And it's finally happened! For the first time! So, what, you may ask, constitutes bad enough driver behaviour in Venezuela to actually get your licence taken off? I'm glad you asked. It goes a bit like this. The offender is a bus driver. His bus was overloaded. He was speeding on these really shit roads, and there was a wheel missing on his bus. Was this some kind of insane fucking bet? Like, hey, Jose, look, no, this shit won't, no, I'll go to work drunk and I won't lose my license. That's nothing. I'm going to drive down the main street of town 100 miles an hour and I won't lose my license. And then this one dude's gone, fuck all of you. I'm gonna drive too fast with an overloaded bus that is fucking missing a wheel! Venezuela, that is totally fucked up! I'm gonna revisit the topic of copyright now, and the so-called Protect IP Act being considered in the US, which is, in summary, an enormous ass-fucking for the internet. Now, Google CEO Eric Schmidt is not shy of the feisty words, and at a recent speech, he said not only is that a bad law, if it gets passed, Google won't stop their fight against it. They will continue to argue it's a bad law and it shouldn't be in place. And they're right, for so very many reasons. So what have the worthless scumfuck shit-sucking pieces of dog crap in the RIAA and the MPAA said about this? Well, they've called Google corporate renegades. And in a surprise, you'll be shocked about these industry representing companies telling lies. I know, because they don't do that much in the whole copyright debate up to this point. They don't make a habit of telling outrageous, unsupportable lies. But in this time, they've talked about Eric Schmidt saying Google would fight an unjust law, saying, oh, Google said they're not going to obey the law. Listen, fuckheads, there is quite a difference between obeying a law and fighting against an unjust law. All you fucking care about is using your money to buy politicians and change laws and then, essentially say, you can ass fuck anyone that you pick at random in the street and you can destroy the internet. You don't care how short-sighted that is. You don't care how much your industries would make from the internet if you'd only pull your heads out of your asses. No, you're more interested in telling lies and feathering your own nest, and fuck the idea of artists and creators. Anyone who ever falls for that lie is a moron. And seriously, this is just another example that proves the RIAA, the MPAA, the big record companies, the big movie and TV companies, they don't give a fuck about anyone or anything or simple things like the truth. These companies are just totally fucked up. And in another story, it turns out that the International Monetary Fund doesn't just rape economies and countries. The head of the IMF was arrested for sexually assaulting a maid in a hotel in New York. And he tried to skip the country, and he was arrested while he was on his plane. It was on the tarmac, and he's trying to skip the country. Dominique Strauss-Kahn! And then other stories came out as soon as this broke of people in Europe saying, oh yes, there was this case where he sexually assaulted someone. Oh, this one got hushed up. And I believe there were some delightful descriptions of him along the line of a rutting monkey, I think was one description of him. Well, during the week, one Ben Stein leapt to Strauss-Kahn's defence, saying that he couldn't believe he was guilty of violent sexual assault. Now, if you've never heard of Ben Stein, he's a Republican speechwriter sometimes, but he's probably most famous for saying, Bueller. Bueller. Yes, that was the high point of his career, being boring, being the boring teacher in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Now, what Stein has basically said is that rich people with economics degrees don't commit violent crimes. Only nasty lower class people do that. And this lower class it's all class war with these lower classes saying these good, honourable, rich people do bad things. Where we know that's true. And he actually used the line, oh, can someone tell me, you know, any violent sex offenders with economics degrees? Ben, buddy, okay, you know the internet exists, right? And it's full of people, besides the stupid ones, it is also populated by people who are pretty fucking smart and can research. You know where I'm going with this, of course. Ben Stein asked what he considered a rhetorical question. Can anyone tell me? Because he's used to old media ways of one-way didacticism. he forgot the internet allows it to be two-way. And yes, people answered him. One of my favourite people on the internet, Randall Munro, creator of XKCD, managed to find out, guess who has an economics degree? Paul Bernardo, who was one of the worst serial killers and sexual predators, like, ever. I mean, I thought someone had just went, oh yeah, you know, that guy, head of bank, was, you know, accused of rape, or that guy went to jail for rape. But no, one of the worst sexually deviant serial killers in history was one of these innocent, educated economists that Ben Stein was talking about. And you know what? It's fucking superfluous anyway. Even if no one could come up with a concrete case of an economist actually coming out and saying, oh, you know, this class of people, they don't commit violent sexual crimes. How fucking stupid do you have to be to say something as dumb as that? The idea that you can compartmentalise the whole group and saying, no one in this group does bad things, or everyone in this group does bad things. You would just have to be a fucking moron. And the real disgrace is that Ben Stein is capable of intelligence. I've read a lot of his writing, and he has, on occasion, written intelligent, insightful things. Sadly, he's also capable of being one of the biggest fuckwits on the planet. So yeah, Ben Stein, do everyone a favour. Just shut the fuck up! And finally, a story that people have been at me to mention for a little while, but I wasn't touching because it was just too tawdry and it involved kids, and I don't like things that involve exploitation of kids. I don't want to be seen to be really joining in the exploitation myself. But yes, it's the botox mum I'm talking about. This woman who got in a lot of media for saying, oh yes, my 8-year-old who goes in beauty pageants, I botox her for, you know, so she'll do better in the pageants, which made everyone go, oh, outrage, outrage, outrage. That's terrible. And it's not just terrible, it's not just bad for a kid, it's also obviously patently stupid, because 8-year-olds don't even have the wrinkle lines that botox covers, so it couldn't possibly make a difference in a positive way anyway. Now, the first twist was when the woman actually had her child taken from her by Child Protective Services. A lot of people go, ha ha, you got what you deserve. But the next twist, which was sort of a double twist, backflip, triple somersault into the pool in a pike position, this woman has now gone to the TMZ website. And yes, it's TMZ because it's American. It's not TMZ. If it was an Australian website, it would be TMZ. But it's TMZ, the gossip website, and she said the story's not true. She was paid money by British tabloid The Sun to stage the whole botox injecting thing. She says they gave her a script to follow. And her daughter doesn't even compete in beauty pageants. And she wasn't even using her real name. So she's saying nothing from beginning to end of this story is true. It wasn't an exaggeration. It wasn't blown out of proportion. It was a premeditated fraud. Now, the Sun's denying this. Oh man, if she's telling the truth, they better have paid her in cash. Because if they didn't, like with a check or a transfer into a bank account, someone at the Sun is seriously in big trouble. But the reason I have touched this now is because of the bizarreness and the twist and the double fuck. I'm not even particularly worried about the mother and the daughter, especially now it sees that she wasn't injecting her daughter, that it was staged. But this is just typified. One of the things with the internet destabilizing old business models, particularly in media, particularly in news and quote-unquote journalism, using the term very loosely with the Sun, is these people will occasionally say how important journalism is and how we need it. We have to have it. You know, the fact that the internet may make it uneconomical is a bad thing because we have to say it. And you know what's the problem? It's not the fucking internet. It's bullshit like The Sun and other tabloids. It's bullshit like Fox News that's nothing but a perpetual spiral of lies. It's the fucking morons on talkback radio talking their inane, mindless shit, okay? If old media gets killed by the internet, it's not murder, it's a fucking mercy killing. So long as these people peddle shit. I mean, even if this story had been true, it's such a sick, worthless, inconsequential thing, and you would just be giving this mother torturing her daughter the attention she was clearly after. But yeah, it's a fucking lie. These people don't even do the basics of checking whether the stories are true or not. It's just, this is why media is going to die. This is why media fucking deserves to die. Because they do nothing but force lies and trivia down our throat when there is so much that we actually need to know. They're choking us with this bullshit.